DevOps can lay the foundation for so many process improvements and efficiency gains. CI/CD automation is one really good step in the right direction, but what we will be looking at here today is how CI/CD automation can really act as the tip of the iceberg and lay the foundation to unlock a lot of potential. This demonstration will showcase the potential of CI/CD in a way that allows AWS customers who want to spin up new accounts quickly and effortlessly to leverage their CI/CD automation and extend it even further. Today, I'm going to be playing the role of a DevOps engineer who has been tasked with automating the provisioning of resources for new accounts who have signed up to our software as a service product, and automatically updating the resources for these accounts for infrastructure changes and for when a customer upgrades or downgrades their plan. I will be showing how to do all of this using AWS Organizations and CloudFormation stack sets. Let's get started. We've already defined a solid foundation for our DevOps process by automating our CI/CD. Here's what we're currently doing. We've put together a CloudFormation template that orchestrates an API gateway endpoint proxying post messages to an SQS queue and an AWS Lambda function polling this SQS queue for incoming messages. Whenever we make a change to our code or infrastructure, the change gets deployed to our master account automatically using Code Pipeline. This will act as the foundation for deploying this to new accounts. We're going to be setting up a system that automatically provisions this CloudFormation stack for new customers and automatically updates infrastructure for any customers who upgrade or downgrade their plan. The first thing we need to do is create an organizational unit where our customer accounts will live. AWS Organizations is what we will use to structure our customers into different account types, such as free accounts and pro accounts. It also automatically keeps track of things such as billing so that you're able to easily see how much each account within an organization is costing month to month. I'm going to create a new organizational unit now. First, make sure you're at the root of the tree in the left sidebar. If you're not at the root, you can simply click the root here. Then I'm going to click New Organizational Unit. I'm going to name it Software as a Service Accounts. And I could also add any pertinent tags here if I wanted to, but I'm going to just click Create Organizational Unit. Now I'm going to create two more organizational units within the one I just created. So I'm going to navigate to the one I just created and click New Organizational Unit. And I'm going to make two organizational units now. One is going to be free accounts, and then the second one is going to be pro accounts. Customers in the free accounts will have an AWS Lambda provisioned with only 512 megabytes of memory, and the Lambda for the pro accounts will get 2 gigabytes of memory. This differentiation will be done by using parameters within our CloudFormation template. Now that our organizational units are created, I'm going to switch to CloudFormation stack sets. From the AWS console, open up Services and navigate to CloudFormation. Then click the left sidebar and open Stack Sets. CloudFormation Stack Sets gives you the ability to use a single CloudFormation template in order to provision multiple CloudFormation stacks related to an organizational unit. What we're going to do is use our CloudFormation template to provision resources for each customer account within each organizational unit we just created. Then I'm going to be able to add and move accounts within these organizational units and see the resources provision and update with each account creation and account change. First, click Create Stack Set. I'm going to upload the template file we're currently using in Code Pipeline for our master account. So click Choose File, and this is the template file we're using. Click Next. And I'm going to call this Software as a Service Free Account Stacks. And I'm going to choose 512 megabytes for the Lambda size for this because this is for our free accounts. So I'm just going to click Next. We're going to keep the defaults here, so click Next again. And now we have the option to deploy to an organization or an entire organizational unit. I'm going to choose to deploy to organizational units. Now I have to enter an OUID. So an OUID relates to an organizational unit's ID. So for this, I'm going to navigate to the free accounts back in the organizations page. I'm going to highlight the ID in the right sidebar here. I'll go back to CloudFormation and paste it here. The automatic deployment section lets you choose whether or not to automatically deploy the CloudFormation stack for new accounts. The account removal behavior lets you specify whether to remove CloudFormation stack resources when an account is removed from your organizational unit. Since we want resources to automatically provision and update with each account creation and change, we're going to stick with the defaults here, having automatic deployment set to enabled and account removal behavior set to delete stacks. For the specify regions section, I'm going to simply choose US East 1. And now finally, the deployment options. Maximum concurrent accounts let you specify how many CloudFormation stacks can deploy at the same time per region. If set to 1, as we have here, it will provision only one stack at a time with each new customer. So if we were to get 5 new customers at the same time, it would provision one CloudFormation stack at a time. I'm going to increase this a bit and set it to 10. The failure tolerance field specifies how many failures we can encounter before halting provisioning for all accounts. We expect our CloudFormations to not encounter such errors, and if they do, we indeed want all provisioning to stop until we fix the problem. It's usually okay to leave this set to 0. So I'm going to click Next, and you can review everything here. Before hitting Submit, if this capability section shows up, you need to make sure to check the box off. This is simply saying that CloudFormation has access to create things like IAM roles. So I'm going to click Submit now. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for our Pro accounts. So I'm going to go back to stack sets and create another stack set with the same deployment template. Only this time it'll be for Pro accounts. And this time we'll be using 2 gigabytes for the memory size instead of 512 megabytes. And everything else will be the same, except we will also be using a different OUID. Now that we have our CloudFormation stack sets created, I'm going to add some new accounts to our organizational units. First, open up AWS Organizations and make sure you're on the Accounts tab and click Add Account. And from here, click Create Account. And for the account name, I'm just going to put the name of some test customer. And I'm going to use a variation of my own Big Compass email. For the IAM role name, just leave this as is and click Create. And now the account is creating. I'm going to go ahead and add a couple more so that we have a couple more accounts to see resources provisioning for. And now I'm going to move these accounts into organizational units. So go to the Organize Accounts tab and click one of the accounts. And I'm going to click Move here. And I'm going to navigate to the Free Accounts organizational unit and click Move. And then I'm going to do the same for these two accounts, only I'll be moving them to the Pro Accounts organizational unit. This process might seem fairly involved, but as part of our DevOps implementation, we made sure this process is repeatable by creating a playbook and checklist so that the process is documented and easily completed in the future. As a part of your DevOps process, you can even go one step further and automate the creation and moving of these new accounts by using the AWS SDK. Switching back to CloudFormation stack sets, I'm going to open up the Free Accounts stack set. And I'm going to click the Stack Instances tab. And here we should see resources provisioning for the new account we added to the Free Accounts organizational unit. However, it appears that the resources failed to provision. Looking more closely at the status reason, it appears our CloudFormation template encountered an access denied error when trying to read from S3. This is a common error to encounter when provisioning access across accounts. To fix this, we need to allow accounts within our organizational units to read from the S3 bucket containing our Lambda code. So we are going to switch to S3 and navigate to the bucket containing our Lambda code. We're going to be adding a bucket policy allowing our organizational units to read from this bucket. So I'm going to switch to the Permissions tab and click Bucket Policy. By default, our S3 bucket isn't allowing public access to any outside resources. We need to explicitly allow access to our organizational units. So I'm going to scroll down and click Policy Generator to get started with adding a bucket policy. For the type of policy, I'm going to choose S3 bucket policy. For principal, I'm going to just put an asterisk. For actions, I'm going to do get object. For the ARN, I'm going to go back to the S3 Management Console and copy this ARN. Then I'm going to do /*, which is telling S3 that all of the keys within this S3 bucket will be used in this policy. I'm going to click Add Statement and Generate Policy. And as it currently stands, this policy is allowing all resources to read from this bucket. We're going to need to lock this down a bit to make it so only our organizational units are reading from this. So I'm going to paste the policy in, and I'm going to add a condition. This is going to be for any value where the string is like this principal org path. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding a path to our organizational unit, and this will be telling S3 that all of the organizational units within this path can read from this S3 bucket. So I'm going to go back to AWS Organizations, and I'm going to go up to the root. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the beginning of this path from here. So this is everything at the end of the ARN. This is the beginning of the path that we need. So I'm going to paste it in here. So this is the root. And I'm going to go down to Software as a Service accounts. And then I'm just going to paste this ID. So the beginning of the path has to be pulled out of the ARN as we just saw. But then after that, you can just start using the IDs. So I'm going to paste that in here. And then since we want the pro and free accounts to be able to read from this S3 bucket, I'm just going to put a star at the end. And that'll encompass both of those organizational units. So at this point, I'm going to click Save. And now we should be able to rerun our CloudFormation stack sets, and our resources should deploy correctly. So I'm going to switch back to CloudFormation now. I'm going to go to our stack sets. Taking a look at our instances, I should be able to rerun these by clicking Edit Stack Set Details. I'm going to just use the current template, and I will just click Next again, and I have to re-add the OUID, and this is the Pro organizational unit, so I just need to add the ID here again, paste it in, and I have to add the region again too. And I have to reset the deployment options. Anytime you edit a stack set, you have to reset all of the options. They go back to their defaults. So I'm going to click Next. And this is already checked off, so I can click Submit. And now our resources will begin deploying. So this is running. And I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the free account stack set as well. And I'm going to rerun that as well. So I'm going to click Edit Stack Set Details, use current template, same lambda size as before. Now this should be running again as well. And I can see now that my update succeeded. So if I go to the stack instances, I can see that it has a status of current. There's no issues. If I go back to the Pro account stacks, it appears those succeeded as well. So our resources have deployed to all three of these accounts. And now I'm going to switch back over to AWS Organizations, because finally I'm going to show what happens if a free account were to upgrade to Pro. When this happens, their AWS Lambda should automatically update from 512 megabytes of memory to 2 gigabytes of memory, since that's what the Pro accounts run on. So I'm going to go to Organize Accounts and Software as a Service accounts. I'm going to switch to the free accounts. Then I'm going to move this account over to our Pro accounts organizational unit. So I'm just going to click Move. And then if I switch back to CloudFormation and go to CloudFormation Stack Sets, I should see that in the free accounts, we're seeing that an update is happening. And what's happening right now is this account is actually going to be deleted from this stack set. We see the delete happening here. If I switch to the Pro account stacks, we see a new row has been added, and we see that a create is running. And I see now that the create has finished. So if I switch back to stack instances, I can grab that latest AWS account and log in as it to verify that the AWS Lambda has 2 gigabytes of RAM allocated for it. So I'm going to go to AWS Lambda. If I scroll down, I should see that indeed it has 2048 megabytes of memory. This is yet another way to go above and beyond with your DevOps processes and CI/CD automation. Using infrastructure as code is a great practice for automating provisioning resources and for extending it further to spin off new accounts, which can be great for software as a service offerings, billing purposes, and much more. And it all starts with good DevOps processes and CI/CD automation for your serverless services.